She was only 13. A skinny small Filipina girl from Quezon City who everyone always used to tell her that her dreams were too giant for the size she was born in. When she sings outside in a sorry store waiting area, older neighbors would laugh like she was pretending to be something way above her category. She never took that personal. She never took that as bullying. She took that as confirmation that she was functioning in a frequency normal humans were not trained to receive yet. Every night she locked her room and played Wicked, Defying Gravity, over and over like a ritual. Not karaoke. Not -1. Actual cast recording. She memorized breath timing. She memorized the vowel shapes. She studied how Idina Menzel placed consonants and she tried to copy it without the world knowing. She trained alone. She had no vocal teacher. She could not afford one. She had no vocal studio. She trained with one cracked phone speaker and the reflection of her own cracked mirror. Her single mother worked overnight shifts in a call center. The mom would sleep in the morning and the little girl would tiptoe around like she was protecting a silent dream warehouse. The mom didn't force her to choose a safe career. She simply told her that whatever God put in her chest was there on purpose. So she kept singing alone like a mad scientist child. And when AGT season auditions opened for 2025, she had this sudden internal switch moment. She looked at her mirror and said quietly in whisper, "This year is my entry. I don't care what happens. I go." Her mom borrowed money from a coworker so they could get tickets and paperwork finished because she said she refuses to raise a daughter who one day tells herself she never tried. At the airport immigration, an officer asked her in a joking tone why she was traveling alone at this small size. And she answered like someone unbreakable inside. She said, "Because America's Got Talent stage is the only stage big enough to fit the future I see when I close my eyes at night." She didn't say it for effect. She didn't say it for drama. She believed that sentence more than she believed the ground she stood on. And it was the first time she felt like she had already won before she even sang. The holding room was intimidating. Girls from vocal academies wearing vocal warm-up shirts. Girls whose moms were Broadway casting directors. Girls with personal vocal coaches traveling with them like full management teams. She sat in her tiny thrift jacket and cheap jeans and she didn't compare herself to them physically. She compared herself to what she could do when she opened her voice fully without fear. When they called her to stage, her hands were cold but her spine was steady. She told herself no matter what happens she cannot leave this stage regretting not going full power. When she introduced the song Defying Gravity, everyone in the room had a mini shock. Because that song is considered a suicide choice at auditions. It is considered career risk. And the judges stared at her like, is this girl insane or genius? The first breath she released was perfect. She didn't sing timid. She didn't sing safe. She sang like she was born to do dangerous vocal athletic impossible high belt musical theater. The audience didn't even process it at first. They were stunned that this tiny little Filipina voice was piercing through the air like a blade that was too sharp for her body size. Heidi turned to Sophia like she was witnessing a supernatural glitch. Simon leaned forward slowly like his eyes were scanning something that the world had not prepared him for. And when she hit the final high belt at full power with zero vocal break, zero breath panic, and zero collapse, the entire audience screamed like a stadium watching a championship knockout moment. Simon put both hands over his face and just mouthed silently, "Oh my God." And at that exact moment, she finally felt like she proved to the planet she was not insane for seeing herself like this since she was 10. She was simply right ahead of schedule. Backstage after the episode aired, producers confirmed she had one of the most shocking vocal discoveries AGT ever experienced from a first-timer. They were looking at each other saying that this is the type of talent that flips culture, not just wins rounds. When the episode hit YouTube and AGT TikTok official channel released the 45-second clip, Philippines went insane. It hit millions before America even woke up because time zone advantage made every Filipino night owl become her distribution army. In her school back in Quezon City, teachers played her audition on the projector and students cried watching someone from their neighborhood, not Hollywood, not New York, not London, deliver Broadway-level belts that scared even Simon Cowell. Her school principal texted her mother saying, "I think she was never meant to live a normal quiet life. I think she was always built to walk on the edge of impossible." She suddenly got hundreds of vocal teachers' DMs offering free Zoom lessons, free training, free technique adjustments. Broadway reaction pages stitched her clips and breakdown accounts were showing her support airflow, her diaphragm timing, her vowel placement and resonance mask like she was a masterclass specimen. It didn't even look like a child doing this. It looked like a fully formed theater monster. Meanwhile, Simon asked producers to play her clip again during private talent review meeting before the next round. He asked for it 3 times. He said, "She is finale level. If we protect her from bad song choices, she can be the face of this season." Even staff that never reacted to her audition. This was not just a good singer. This was a threat to every established vocal winner from previous years. She was the rare kind of talent that turns the competition into a legacy-making season. Now the entire production team was aware that she could be the most viral star of the entire 2025 run. During quarterfinals, she changed her mental strategy and took full risk again because she believed doing the same wicked repeatedly would trap her in one lane. So she chose Whitney Houston, "I Have Nothing." Everybody behind the curtain begged her not to attempt Whitney because that song destroys 90% of singers in live format. Even AGT alumni told her not to. But she wanted to make sure people understood that her voice was not an accident. Her voice was a system, not luck. She entered stage calmer than before. Simon whispered to Howie that tonight could either be the night she ends or the night she becomes the unstoppable frontrunner. When the orchestra launched and she started the verse in soft control, the room held its breath so intense that you could hear every micro movement. When she jumped into the Whitney high-altitude belting section, she never cracked, she never choked, she never backed away. She delivered the belts with absolute skyscraper stability like she was born with 20 years Broadway experience under her bones. By the time she reached the final big note, before she even landed it, the judges stood early because they already knew she won this night before the finish even arrived. The live audience exploded and Simon literally put his hand on his chest like someone physically hit him. He told her that she just proved her audition wasn't lightning luck. She proved she belonged on global champion scale vocal class. From this moment forward, the world was no longer debating if she can win. They were debating how much she could change American competition singing forever. Brand messages started coming in from multiple countries after semifinals night. US brands, Korean brands, UK theater companies, casting assistants from New York Broadway houses were quietly contacting AGT producers asking if they could get her private contact for future role reading. They weren't joking. They weren't doing hype. They literally believed she was the next global theater lead child prodigy before she was even in high school. Alphabet talk started circulating in musical theater discords and fan forums. People were calling her the most terrifying threat to the teen singing category in Got Talent history because she had technique adults took 12 to 18 years to cultivate. She didn't let that go to her head. She still talked to her mom the same way every night before bed. She would text, "I am scared but something inside me keeps pulling like destiny force." She knew semifinals song needed to be brutal. She picked Never Enough because she understood if she could belt this one with no panic, no vocal fatigue, no air collapse, then even haters would be forced to respect her craft. She rehearsed quietly alone. No glam drama. No TikTok live. No attention farming. She walked to the dark corner hallway backstage and did silent breath technique drills. She stepped on stage with a calmness that only people who deeply know their purpose possess. And when she finished, Never Enough, Simon Cowell genuinely shook his head like he could not believe this was physically possible from a 13-year-old tiny Filipino girl. He told her this was one of the greatest singing nights in AGT history. He wasn't saying it like a judge trying to make a TV moment. He said it like a man who just saw talent that challenged human expectation. The internet agreed instantly. People posted that America just witnessed a child not just competing, but dominating singing category like she built her own architecture of vocal physics and rewrote the blueprint. By this moment she was no longer cute viral girl from audition. She was now heavyweight finalist that terrified every other finalist in the show. The finals night was designed as a poetic return. She returned to the song that started the war. Defying Gravity. But this time it wasn't safe. This wasn't karaoke -1. This was extended arrangement. New live orchestra energy. New harmonic design. This was full Broadway production level with AGT sound engineers literally upscaling presence to handle high-altitude notes. The world already knew this was going to be the championship performance moment. Simon even said on air that he has been waiting for this rematch since her audition. When she began softly, she didn't even look nervous. She looked like she already belonged here years ago. The audience could sense she was not fighting to prove she belonged anymore. She was fighting to claim the crown that everyone already subconsciously knew was hers. When she hit the final massive belt at the end, the entire theater detonated like a stadium celebrating a World Cup winning strike. People jumped out of their chairs like a collective explosion. Judges didn't need to speak. Even before feedback, she already had them destroyed emotionally. Simon walked slow toward the center. He pressed the golden buzzer symbolically even though it's finals and doesn't count as normal advancement. He did it as a crowning ritual. He told her, "Some singers are legendary. Some singers break ceilings. But you don't care about ceilings. You blow entire roofs off buildings." Social media that night declared that this was the new Filipina Broadway sovereignty era beginning live on AGT stage. She didn't just win a season. She became the defining vocal culture shift of 2025 and the girl who proved that dreams from a tiny room in Quezon City can burn so bright that entire nations must change their definition of impossible.